question. We were lucky enough to have Bishop Ed Burns from Juneau, Alaska come by to speak to us. Welcome, Bishop Burns. Thanks for being with us.
Monsignor, thank you. It's good to be here,
nice
Sister.
to see you.
Now, for many years, you worked in the area of vocations, and of course, as a bishop, you're always working in the area of vocations. Did that really ring a bell with you, the presentation this morning?
Indeed. I worked for 10 years at the Bishops' Conference, and specifically in the area of priestly formation and vocations, and it did ring a bell. It resonated with me clearly because I think today young people are eager to respond to God's call. There is, without a doubt, within them this love and passion for the Lord, and I think it is our role as the church to invite them to consider such a vocation.
It's terrific to see, though, the excitement that is around, even when you speak to other bishops about this, because I think it's a sense of hope. I think a lot of times when we talk about vocations, it's sort of the downside of it. You know, it's, oh, there's less. But in a sense, there is a sense of hope. And you're a former rector of a seminary as well, right? So you experienced, I think, that hope firsthand.
Indeed. What I saw was a great, a high level of zeal, dedication, commitment, fervor, love, passion. It is out there in our young people. And I have to say that through the pontificate of Pope John Paul II, when having World Youth Days, the young people responded to the clarion call that our Holy Father gave to them to stand up, be bold, be audacious in your faith, live it, and you're going to find what it is to live life to the full and live a life of joy.
And that's exactly, I think, the message. The person gives the message, don't they? You can see just your own enthusiasm for vocation. And I think being here this week said to me anyway, there are a lot of happy bishops out there. You know, sometimes we don't get that sense. You know, there's so much work to be done and so on. But seeing you all come together, you realize that the vocation to the priesthood, obviously, is one that you've embraced and with a lot of joy.
Indeed. It's evident there to be in a gathering of priests, a gathering of religious, you hear laughter. Sure. You do witness that joy.
It's also interesting, at least from my perspective, to know how you feel now as a bishop coming back to these meetings, having been part of the staff in the past.
Well, it's almost like deja vu. They said, wow, Burns, you're back. Now you have to sit through the entire meeting. Well, it is an absolute joy. The work of the conference is clear. It is serious. It is on track. It is an honor. It came as a shock that I was called to be a bishop. That was one. The other shock, Juneau, Alaska.
I have another vocation question, but that's something that I had to ask you. It's like from Pittsburgh to Juneau. It sounds like a Bob Hope movie, you know, like The Road to Juneau. I mean, tell us about Juneau. I mean, many of us have never seen.
It's true. I was ordained a priest of the Diocese of Pittsburgh in 1983, and when I received the call that I was appointed by Pope Benedict XVI as the Bishop of Juneau, Alaska, I thought about the people of the diocese. I'm thinking, what's going through their mind about their next bishop is coming from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania? I had been in the Diocese of Juneau before, spoke to the priest and had a chance to serve at St. Rose of Lima in Wrangell, Alaska. And I was enamored by the diocese and the people. And as far as the call to serve as their bishop, it was like living the gospel message. Jesus called his apostles and sent them with the gospel message to the ends of the earth.
Sure.
And for me to go to the far corner of this country to proclaim, equipped with that gospel message, for me is a joy.
Isn't that wonderful?
It's really exciting. I mean, it's amazing. And I think when we think about Juneau, I mean, we don't, like, how many priests are in your diocese?
Well, a little bit of demographics. The Diocese of Juneau is the size of the state of Florida.
Wow.
We have 9 priests. As one of my brother priests from Pittsburgh said, Burns, you can fit them all in a minivan. And it's true, but we have a great, close community. Every Monday morning, all the priests of the Diocese of Juneau, we have a conference call. And it's a wonderful way, Monday morning, talk about what happened over the weekend, but at about 8:15, 8:20, we pray morning prayer together,
That's nice.
on a conference
Isn't that
call.
wonderful?
While it's a large diocese, it's a small diocese, and we can bring them all together. It's exciting with the challenges of Southeast. As large as it is, it has about 1,000 islands, and there's not an ugly part of the diocese. We get 1 million visitors, who are tourists in the city of Juneau. A lot of the cruise industry and the tourism is a large industry within Southeast Alaska. But it is exciting. It truly, truly is exciting.
Now, how do you cover that diocese? I mean, do you have to fly from one place to another? Or?
A lot of people have asked whether or not I have a pilot's license.
Oh, really? Yeah.
And it was nowhere on my resume, nor will it be. I'm not inclined to fly. I'm going to leave that to the professionals.
Good idea, probably, right?
Indeed. But by ferry, and the Alaskan Marine Ferry Highway is a significant mode of transportation in Southeast Alaska, but of course by plane, bush plane, float plane, or Alaskan Airlines,
Really is astounding. And to think of Pittsburgh being, in many ways your typical American city,
Right.
it's quite a shift.
In Juneau, there are no roads in and out of Juneau. There's a number of our areas we can't get to by simply getting into the car and driving. And so travel can be a challenge. Everybody understands that it's the mode of life there. And so we just are very, very patient. It's different than living inside the Beltway in Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
And yet, I bet some of these issues that are on the floor here during the last 2 days are the same issues that you face up there.
Oh, indeed. I find that being on the radio is significant with the industries of fishing, the Coast Guard. A lot of people listen to radio. And so a lot of my ministry, I recognize the importance of radio. I was on a radio talk show for an hour on healthcare. It was a call-in show.
Wow.
I look to be on the radio again, and the segment's going to be on marriage and the uniqueness of marriage between a man and a woman. So it is indeed the issues within the Diocese of Juneau. We make up 10% of the overall population. 10% of Southeast Alaska is Catholic.
Wow.
And I thought that was awfully small, but yet I learned that we are the largest faith community of Southeast Alaska because 60% are unchurched. Well, there I find a ministerial challenge. There I find a challenge of the church through evangelization, the new evangelization, an opportunity to proclaim, the message of the gospel and the mission of the church.
And it is real live missionary work that you're doing. It's incredible.
It is.
Yeah. Well, it kind of goes back to my other question that I had, where they were talking about vocations. Part of that presentation was that much of the success is occurring through the internet, through a lot of the new media that's available. Sure. And that's something that you've probably seen. If you can meld together using vocations and new media as part of the call, but also maybe in your ministry using new media as well, needing to use the internet, et cetera.
Exactly. What we're doing, we just had a workshop of our full-time ministers, couple-day workshop, where how we're going to bridge together technology and ministry because of our diocese with all the different islands. We have a number of missions without priests. For example, we're establishing for some villages who have youth ministry programs an evening with the bishop. And I will be at my residence on Skype, and those young people will be on Skype too, and we'll have a chance to interact and pray and answer questions and talk about the faith and really experience what it is to be Catholic.
And yet, as a young priest, you never thought you'd do any of these things.
I know.
Isn't it amazing?
It's really something. Well, I got to tell you, Bishop, you win the most interesting interview award, I think.
Oh, you are kind.
No, I'll tell you, I'm sitting here saying, wow, this was incredible.